Terrence is believing in Gwen and taking her out to look for Finney based on what she saw in her dreams is great. The fact that he's most likely driving around very drunk right now is not as great.
Please stop expecting characters to break their character, because if they did what you want them to do, that would be a legitimate sin.
We find out later that Gwenny's search and the ensuing shot of the police knocking on the correct door have no connection. But the way it's cut together sure seems to imply that the police knocked on a door because a little girl had a vision.
Wait, you admit that the police knocking on the door has no connection to Gwenny's vision, but you still sin it? You can't make this shit up.
However, they got there, the police showed up at the actual house where Finney is being held, and there's a totally not the grabber person living there. But the sin is that the cop noticed the cocaine, but helped dude cover it up, instead of using it as an excuse to search the house further, which would lead to the discovery of the Finney basement.
That's not a sin of the movie, though. This is an example of the character within the movie making a mistake. This is actually a pretty cool piece of commentary on the incompetence of some cops. These guys absolutely could have done what you suggested, but they didn't because they were lazy, which does happen sometimes in real life.
Maybe Finney has a way to know when the grabber is at home and might come down. Not sure how, but even if he does, why would he risk leaving this hole exposed where he couldn't get to it in time to cover up if the door opened?
He says while showing Finney actively digging out the hole. Did you expect him to cover the hole while he himself was still inside?
Hello? Bruce? Billy? Paperboy?
Now that they've established the communication with Finney, they're still doing these hang-up calls? What the f*** is up with these ghost kids?
Jeremy triple dips cliche.
How has Max never walked in on his sometimes topless brother sitting in the kitchen wearing a mask and holding a belt? Considering how cautious the grabber is being with bringing food and whatnot, this setup, while super creepy and memorable as a scene from a horror film, seems extremely risky. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Maybe he waits for his brother to fall asleep or leave the house? Man, that was an easy answer. As for it being risky, yeah, it is pretty risky. I don't see how that's a sin, but cool.
Grabber momentarily falls asleep waiting for Finney to walk upstairs, and is he a moron? If he's not playing your game right, then wait an hour or so, and then go back down and lock the basement door and go to bed.
Jeremy is questioning the reasoning skills of a mentally deranged serial killer. Come on, dude. There were two solid sins right around this point. He mentioned how the window with the bars is never shown again and the grabber never addresses it, and then he talks about how the grabber never confiscated Finney's toy rocket ship. These are both valid points, so take another two sins back.
It's all a little hazy, but I imagine you know all our names.
Are you guys connected in the afterlife? Are you all together in the grabber's victim's village? Oh, and also, what the f***?
I say this in almost every video, but simply asking a question does not automatically necessitate a sin.
Spent so many years invisible, and then every kid in the state knows your name.
How the f*** can you square this comment with the fact that you just said you didn't know your own name, like all the other ghost callers didn't know their names? You spent so many years invisible, and that every kid in the state knows your name is an excellent line that just doesn't make much sense here. How is it even possible to lament everyone knowing your name when you don't even know your own name?
What are you talking about? Have you been hit on the head recently? The kids hate the fact that they can't remember their own identities because that's very dehumanizing, and they mention everyone knowing their names because they became murder victims. How the hell do you think those two concepts clash? There's no contradiction here whatsoever, so you're just saying words and expecting them to make sense.
Watch us. Go?
There's a combination lock on the inside of the storm door.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ on a phone call ex machina.
Not only is this not an ex machina, but this misuse of the term is even worse than normal, seeing as this plan doesn't even end up working.
Also, both this movie's protagonist and antagonist have been shown to be able to sleep through the night without losing grip of a thing they are holding.
Jeremy double dips cliche.
Also, Grabber has an entire ass brother that lives here who's obsessed with the Grabber, and I guess he's the soundest sleeper ever? Grabby can just sleep here in the kitchen with the mask on and the basement door open?
His brother was shown doing cocaine earlier in the film, and cocaine crashes typically result in very sound sleeping. You could have just looked this up, my dude.
A dog that has been trained to bark at the sound of a combination lock opening, but not at someone walking past the door.
Nowhere in this movie does it ever say anything about the dog's training. The dog started barking because it heard the noise of the lock. Finney was being very quiet when he walked past the door, so the dog obviously just didn't hear anything then.
Finney, running at full speed, somehow only gets a block or so away from the house in the time it takes the Grabber to get to his van, start it up, and pull out of the driveway. I'm not sure if I'm sinning the illogical time frame or that Finney is way too slow for a kid his age.
How is this an illogical time frame? How long do you think it takes for someone to start their car and catch up to a running child?
Nighty-night, naughty boy.
I'm calling bull on knowing ahead of time that your punch will knock someone out. Sure, some punches do knock people out, but no one knows ahead of time that this will occur.
Yup, and I don't see how that's a sin of the movie. The Grabber clearly didn't know this punch would knock Finney out. He simply happened to use the right amount of force.
What was all that noise I heard?
Samson was barking at something. It's nothing. Go back to bed, Max.
This works.
Yeah? Because Max is a coke addict who obviously doesn't suspect his own brother of being a serial killer?
Jesus, what the f***?
Yet again, I agree with you here, but still, that fake-ass laugh.
At this point, we see the bully kid's perspective of the conversation he just had with Finney, but he's dead. So this is just a vision Gwynny is having about him showing her the house. So my question is, did her vision impact the call Finney had with the ghost, or did the conversation with the ghost somehow become part of her vision?
My question is this: does it really matter either way? This movie has supernatural stuff in it, so pretty much anything can happen with those supernatural elements. And besides, say it with me now, simply asking a question does not automatically necessitate a sin.
Also, whoever or whatever is controlling these phone calls and visions is really benevolent. Like, so benevolent as to be kind of cheating.
Jeremy is yet again complaining about a supernatural movie having supernatural elements,
What did you do?
I'm getting to that, wad.
Interrupting a ghost.
pointing things out on the screen.
Today is the day you stop taking from anybody.
Man, this pep talk is awesome. Why didn't he call way before now? He even said he's been here the whole time.
What weapon?
The one in your hand.
This is information that would have been helpful to him yesterday.
God, I f***ing love this sin. A minute or two ago, he complained about the ghost phone calls being too helpful and convenient, but now he's complaining about them not being more effective. Which is it? You can't have it both ways.
I'm sure it's going to be the right move and end up working, but why is Robin teaching Finney to lunge forward and then back before attacking? Did he try this himself and it came close to working? Does he have intel suggesting the grabber is susceptible to feints and jukes by little boys?
I can't believe I have to explain this to a fully grown man, but forward momentum lends more power to your strikes. Seeing as Finney isn't all that strong, he needs as much power as he can possibly get.
So why not tell him to tie the cord around the receiver and swing that dirt-filled around like a meteor hammer?
Because he's using the cord to trip the grabber? You're about to see that in just a minute, so this sin is really dumb.
This was the last call, Finn. It's all you from here on out.
And we all got to talk to you individually to give you one vital piece of information each to help you survive, because that's how being a ghost works.
Yes, in this world, that is how it works. You spent the entire video complaining about how the movie never explains the way the ghosts work, but now you literally come out and say exactly how it works, and somehow you still count it as a sin. Jesus Christ.
Please, dear Jesus, please, please.
Still alive, but I'm barely breathing. Just praying to a God that I don't believe in.
Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche.
Hello, Officer Stupid? This is the little sister of one of the kids the grabber took, and I just had a dream about what house he is in, and we have to act now because the same dream also said this was his last day alive.
Okay, and the sin is...
Well, we're waiting.
Holy f***ing shit. Stop the goddamn ride. I want to get off and rant. These cops are not only believing a 9-year-old girl who says she had a vision about where the grabber's house is, they are racing to follow that lead down. And this is just not how police work works. Try this. Send your elementary school age child to the local PD and have her tell them that she's had a vision there were murder victims buried in your least favorite neighbor's backyard. Report back to me when the cops are actively digging up their yard based on that intel.
While I agree that their urgency in this scene is a little odd, you're not entirely right here. Let me throw it to my boy over at Hellfiles to explain a little further. Investigators have actually been known to use psychics to aid in investigations, especially when they're getting desperate. The detectives in this movie are clearly very desperate, so they're taking any lead they can possibly get. Thanks, man. I always appreciate your help.
Here's the house.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Is this actually happening?
Jeremy double dips cliche.
Open up. Please.
We have no legal cause to be here. I honestly think the real horror in this movie is the complete and utter lack of protocol and ethics employed by these police. Holy Christ.
Yeah, this is actually a good sin. Even though the cops might go investigate a house based on a psychic vision, they would not be kicking the door down and going in with guns drawn.
So ultimately, Robin's lunge, step back, and then attack move ends up working multiple times in this climax. It's like defeating Glass Joe and Punch-Out.
Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Why is he freaking out when the top part of his mask is taken off? Finney had already seen the top part of his face earlier.
Yet again, Jeremy is questioning the psyche of a deranged serial killer.
It's the missing kids. This is where he buries them.
No, it's mounds of dirt. Do some police work for a change.
He made an educated guess that these mounds are graves. What the hell is the issue with this?
As Gwenny sees Finney, this music is good and reminds me of Time from Inception. And I can't play this music or Time from Inception, but I can sing Time from Inception.
Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche.
I'm so sorry.
Wow, the kidnapping ordeal cured his alcoholism, and that cured his abusiveness.
The movie literally never suggests either of these things, just that the kidnapping made him see and admit to some of his mistakes. We have no information on how he treats them after this.
I will kill anyone, anywhere. Children, animals, old people, doesn't matter. I just love killing.